fat and tight, fighting for your rights, and the old red, white, and blue. Wonder Woman.
Welcome to the Club of Heroes, Episode 3. I'm your slightly inebriated host, Chris Bearden. These are my designated drivers.
Matt Cortinas.
Evan Arnold. I ate the keys.
I guess we're walking home. Tonight, yet again, we don't have a dedicated topic. I thought we'd just shoot the breeze. Whatever comes up. Orville Redenbacher, popcorn mogul, getting his own action figure.
Yes, it'd be great.
Quite a bit of excitement in the air about that one. I think we talked about the possibility of having an A-team van, but with him in it, so it's not really an A-team van, it's an I-team van for Iowa.
The I-team.
The I-team. And shoots corn cob holders.
Yeah, the corn hits the enemy. It's so nutritious, they don't want to do bad anymore, they want to do good.
I think we talked about a possible arch rival for him in Paula Deen.
Oh.
But we changed things up. Instead of... Because Paula Deen, as we know, is the queen of butter.
She's a butter queen.
She's a butter queen.
She's a butter face, anyway.
Oof, not even that. Ugh.
You need butter to cook popcorn. Am I right?
Yeah.
So they need to join forces. You know, have Orville Redenbacher as the corn and Paula Deen with the butter.
You know, it'd be kind of a lot like the dynamic in the Superman, Spider-Man versus Spider-Man comic, where initially there's this big misunderstanding, they're like fighting each other, and then they fight Lex Luthor and Dr. Octavius, the Injustice gang.
Are those the villains in that? I've never actually read the special.
Well, you know, it's crossovers.
Yeah.
You get what you expect.
I read, I think it was Seb had a Batman versus the Hulk comic, but it was in like Spanish or Portuguese or something. But yeah, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez did the art, so it has some really quality art. But all I remember is Batman lets off all these like smoke bombs or whatever, or knockout gas or something, and then he like solar plexus strikes Hulk in the chest, and Hulk has to take a deep breath, and he knocks himself out.
Oh wait, I think I
read and
that
that's how Batman gets the upper hand on the Hulk.
The Joker is like, he's in that comic too, right?
Yeah, it's Joker, and I don't remember the other.
It's like
there's another villain.
There's like a big alien dude, like he's huge, like he's the size of the Sphinx, and like he's attached to like a pyramid or something, and like he like. If you,
I don't remember.
I was like 6 when I read this.
Yeah.
So if I just say shit that's not in there, it's just me like filling the gaps. From what I seem to remember, I don't know why the Hulk was even there. I just think he was there. But this like alien being thing, like he's like a genie or something. Like he doesn't grant you wishes, but what he can do is he can like make your wildest dreams come true somehow. And of course, since that's why the Joker won and do some really weird shit. Because he's the Joker. I guess it was kind of like Emperor Joker, except with this weird alien that somebody had to draw for several panels.
Blackheart? Gonna be Blackheart?
Nah, Blackheart's a big spiky guy. He's in the Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Yeah, I didn't get how he ever got around either, since it's literally like the base of a pyramid with the top part cut off, and this alien dude just stuck in it. Like, it doesn't have wheels. So I don't know how he got around or anything. I don't think that was explained.
I'm gonna assume he's a Marvel character because villain represented by Joker on his side. Right. I don't know my Marvel cosmic well enough.
Probably just a Kirby drawing on some napkin or something that was like left in the corner, and like, hey, that looks cool. We'll use that. I think that is one of the big problems with Marvel, though, because Kirby was so good at doing cosmologies, like these huge, like epic, arcing storylines. Ever since he's stopped doing comics for them, they still want to do that, and they have people that aren't as good at it doing it.
Well, he had people following his footsteps who, I mean, Jim Starlin created Thanos, the Infinity Gauntlet, all that great stuff. But I don't think it's a lack of creativity. I think it's the editorial or the corporate side wanting them to replicate stuff they already have, if that makes sense. Like,
they need some new blood, or so you would say, right?
Well, I think they have new blood. I just don't think they're utilizing it properly.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you think that, as far as like marketing and what the talking heads want, if you
not David Byrne and crew, but
no, I don't think they really read many comic books. I'd be surprised if they did. do you think as far as what they want and what the authors, writers, artists are trying to do think that's making a big conflict as to driving the company? Because, things that people are familiar with tend to sell better. New concepts are a gamble. And, they're probably worried about throwing in money, time, resources into trying a new thing. If the X version of Wolverine that we've done like 50 times is going to, it's going to sell because people like Wolverine. They can identify with the character. You know what I mean? Like, do you think that's kind of a problem that DC and Marvel are both facing?
I think there's a darker side to these big stories that kind of drive the publishing lines of Marvel and DC. Like, think about Avengers vs. X-Men, AVX. It was their big event this year. It set up the Marvel Now relaunch. Not really a reboot. They just kind of renumbered everything. It's a renumbering. It's not a relaunch. AVX, I think, is really about taking all of the X-Men characters and putting them under the Avengers banner. Because look at Marvel Studios. They got Avengers, Cap, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man. They don't have X-Men. X-Men is still Fox, right? So
I guess it's owned by Disney now, right?
Well, on the movie side of things.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I think so.
They want to take these X-Men characters and make them, quote-unquote, Avengers. So they can use everybody? Does that make any sense? Like, they're trying to get everyone under the Avengers banner. Like, in the 90s, it was all about the X-Men. That was the gravy train for Marvel. Now it's the Avengers. They just made a movie that made $1 zillion with the Avengers concept. And now they want to get everyone to be an Avenger.
And you even had Hugh Jackman was in the Avengers movie.
Was he?
They were recruiting those people.
Oh, yeah.
And they walked to the bar, and he said, "No."
No, that's First Class.
Was that First?
Yeah, that's X-Men First Class. Yeah, it was.
I got excited and jumped on the wrong movie. I was like, I fucking saw that too.
He tells them to fuck off. Right?
Yeah. That was.
He doesn't want to be an X-Man. He wants to cut up bathtubs and be Wolverine.
If you're a kitchen sink, don't cross the Wolverine.
Linoleum?
He's the best at what he does, and what he does is definitely not plumbing. But yeah, I guess that really makes sense. Comic sales are not on the up and up, usually, to say the least. Movies are the big money maker now.
Yeah.
We are reaching kind of a point, though, where I think it's okay for people to be interested in niche things. Almost it's kind of expected, It wasn't, I guess, until I was graduating high school, maybe a year before that, that was kind of the expectation. Not really almost a rule like it is now. You got shows like 30 Rock, How I Met Your Mother. I mean, they apply to people's inner geeks, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's a fucking awful show, but The Big Bang Theory, everybody and their dog watches The Big Bang Theory.
Everybody's exactly.
Fuck that show. But
I don't think it's a accurate portrayal of geeks.
Interesting thing is they showcase DC comics. Batman's inside there a lot of times. And
yeah, well, that's a legal thing. Like, maybe they can show DC, they can't show Marvel.
Right.
They probably got contracts or something. I bet DC might pay them so much. Like, oh, look at this Batman guy.
Who's it? Somebody was a guest star on there. What's his name? I can't think of it now. Of course, it'll pop up later.
Generalissimo Ass Kicker?
No.
I just made that name up.
Well, go ahead. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I just what Evan was saying, like, geek is not
cool.
geek anymore.
It's
yeah,
cool
like,
now.
like geek is cool, but I still think the hobby of comic books is vilified.
Yeah.
It's okay to like Iron Man and stuff because they're making all these huge movies with these characters, but comic books are still. I mean, think about the people in your day-to-day life, your coworkers, whatever. Who do you know who really collects comic books?
Nobody.
Not publicly, anyway.
You don't. When I was a little kid, I remember, comic books were in the convenience stores. They were at the grocery stores, and they're just not available anymore. And,
It's it's a couple steps above LARPing, basically. You know.
But it's interesting. Every time I see a garage sale, I always go inside there asking, "Hey, do y'all have any comic books down here?" Like, "Oh no, we don't," or "We just sold them," or "Don't even know what those are."
Or you mean like Archie?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I got some Donald Duck here.
I got some Sudoku puzzles in the back. No, wrong. Maybe Dear Abby's Big Adventure or something. But yeah, it's although the medium has garnered a lot of critical respect over the years, it's been taken more seriously, I think, as time's gone on. But in the public eye, it's still just one of those things,
Mm-hmm.
Someone who has a deep interest in like classic cars, not the same response you get to someone who's interested in classic comics.
Sports.
Oh yeah.
One word. Sports people are crazy, right? They're crazy about sports. They're sports geeks, if you will. But their hobby is accepted. It's commonplace. But they're just as fanatical about it. Just as even like tribal about it.
Almost expected, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I get asked occasionally, "You watch football?" I'm like, "No." And people just like stop and go, "Why not?" Like they almost tilt their head like dogs do when they're really curious. Like, why not? Like I'm an alien or something. Like, it just doesn't appeal to me. Or if I feel like being really sarcastic, I'll say something like, the thought of men in tight pants tackling each other trying to chase a leather ball, not quite my thing. But yeah, I have to agree with that. It's weird how cultural expectations can kind of shape what people do.
Yeah. I look at football and I think, wow, it looks like a Power Ranger gangbang. But I mean, I admit the helmets and logos and stuff look cool, but I just don't get into it. I mean, for me, it's kind of like bitterness. It's like athletes get paid so much money to play a fucking game, and I can't get behind that. But also, I just have no interest.
One lady that paid Shazam like what, $20? Like, thanks, lady.
But then again, football and sports is played at every restaurant practically.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is the thing that's battling sports like that is the gaming industry, which I don't know how comics can get inside that.
Well, it's like every year Comic-Con is huge, right? They cover it on I don't think G4 is kind of going away, but in the past few years G4 has covered Comic-Con. It's this big thing. But San Diego Comic-Con, every year it seems to me, and I've never attended San Diego Comic-Con, so I could just be talking out of my ass here, but every year it's less and less about the comics, and it's more and more about movies, games, multimedia stuff. And it's drifted away from the source material. And is the source material becoming irrelevant? Like, does it matter what the current Avengers series contains?
That's a scary question for a comic podcast. Are these the twilight years? Part of the thing might be that a lot of the more visible old guard are either retiring or dying away. I mean, the most flamboyant individual that people just recognize right off, probably Stan Lee, and he's 90. I mean, come on, he's not a robot.
Yeah.
One of these days he's going to have to pass away, and then after that, Jack Kirby already gone. It's a dwindling list every year.
For his time, we've seen Gene Colan just this not too long ago, a month or two ago. Joe Kubert passed away.
Yeah.
That's a big blow,
It's huge.
I'm not. This is not a commentary on the talent of today's writers and artists, but the relevancy of their work. Marvel and DC, maybe it's just not the place to look anymore. If you want quality comic books, Image, Dark Horse, Independence, Web Comics,
Boom Studios.
Boom Studios are they still around now? Cause
I don't know, actually. I was just throwing it in.
They were battling. Yeah, I like Boom Studios, though. I agree. But after they lost all the Disney stuff to Marvel, Boom, that had to be a huge blow to Boom, not to have the Muppet Show and Cars and The Incredibles and stuff. I don't know. You have anything to add, Matt?
In
a word.
Exactly. It's being away from comic books all these years. The ones I collected, I was just keep rereading those because they were good. I knew what they were. All this new stuff, and I started to kind of cease to collect them after Blackest Night, Green Lantern, and most definitely after Batman. What was the last one Grant Morrison was writing?
Did you follow Incorporated or
to a certain point? Until then, I just kind of stopped really. Which Batman Incorporated was great, and then I stopped following it, and I don't even know what's going to happen anymore. I didn't know it was still continuing.
It's a financial commitment. Being into comic books, $3.99 is, your cover price. Like DC, God bless them, a lot of their books are still $2.99, but how long are they gonna hold that line? We're probably looking at $3.99 across the board, at least by 2014.
That's tough. I mean, one of the other things we might consider is that singles being published. Singles might have to go away. It might have to be multiple issues tied in one work. I'm not necessarily saying trade paperbacks, but like maybe half of a trade paperback being issued out as being normal, is a kind of a cost-cutting method. And I imagine we'll see more and more material being released online, perhaps even exclusively. Do you know if Diamond Publishing is still, or not Diamond Publishing, but Diamond Shipping is still in control of shipping comics?
Oh, Diamond is still it. They're still the monopoly for comic book stores.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
And I'm sure if we had a retailer in the room right now, he'd be ready to rail on Diamond because, when there's no competition, the thing you have, in this case Diamond Distributing, they get lazy. They don't have the greatest customer support from what I've heard. And a cynic would say they really don't care about retailers. I don't know.
So I guess it's a short list of the things that are fucked up. How can that be resolved, I guess would be my next question. You guys have any thoughts?
So this Diamond Shipping, where they just buy comic books from the industry and ship it out to realtors?
They are the distributor. They take the publisher's work and they get it out to the comic book stores. Now, IGA, for example, they don't go through Diamond. But that's why at IGA, you're getting comics that are a month or 2 months old, because they're getting it from some other distributor, like a magazine.
That's probably a whole auctioning thing. We Diamond provide the lowest purchase of the publisher's works. And I don't. That's just a guess on my part. It could be anything. Oh, they could play Hungry Hungry Hippos for the publisher's work. But yeah, I think that you're going to see more of a digitized format becoming more and more commonplace, especially since everybody and their brother has a tablet now, as some way to connect the internet.
You don't even need a tablet. Your phone.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
You can read comics.
If you don't mind
phone.
reading on this.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I mean, reading comics on the computer is just weird. I like to hold it. I like to have it. I feel like I bought something. These DRMs, are they backed up? I mean, if Comixology goes away, do I still have a file with my comic in it? Or
exactly.
Yeah, am I really buying anything, or am I buying content? Like for a video game, you can buy more content. But if they don't back up that content anymore, if PlayStation Network or Xbox Live goes away, does that content exist? Do my comics that I'm buying exist?
And part of it is that
I want a PDF, is what I'm saying.
Definitely.
I want a PDF file.
It is a very physical format, and I've tried reading it on a screen before, and it does take some getting used to. It's not just because I like holding stuff that I own. I do. I like having physical copies of stuff lying around that I own. Kind of comforting. But something about the medium itself, it's like, not to get too rash or anything, but it's like comparing a picture of the Mona Lisa on Wikipedia and going to go see the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a big difference. Yeah, it's the same picture, but there's a big difference. There's something there that's intangible The French probably have a word for. But you know what I mean. And that is that's one of the reasons why I haven't really signed on for any online services in regards to distributing any kind of work that could be called into question. I'm a little paranoid about it, honestly, and I'd rather have the shelf space than worry about it being on my hard drive in case it ceases to exist for whatever reason. That's my 2 cents.
That's more like 5 cents, sir. That's good. Do you have anything to add, Matt?
Well, I have this Kindle device where you purchase books and stuff on there, and they come out recently with the new Kindle Fire, I think it is, where it's touchscreen, you get color, and you can buy these books and pretend like you're flipping them. But they started putting comic books on there too. Yeah. Now the thing is sent directly to your little device there, wirelessly, however, magically, I don't know. You give them money and they send it.
Sorcery.
It's all magic to us cavemen,
But as far as that goes, they say it's saved to your account over the cloud, in the clouds, right?
Okay.
As long as you're logged onto your account, you can have it on any device that you want it on. But like you were saying, if they were to go away, do you still have that?
Right.
I don't think you would.
I guess it really depends on what's in the EULA. That's like the end user license agreement.
That's a dirty body part, Let me see your EULA.
Oh yeah, give me that EULA.
That sweet EULA.
It's dripping. Oh yeah.
Yeah, dripping wet EULA.
But yeah, people never read those. In fact, just to prove a point, iTunes, in their end user license agreement, now because you said it, I can't say EULA again.
I sound dirty.
They ask that you please do not use iTunes to make any nuclear or chemical biological weapons. And it took forever for somebody to catch that. It still says that, by the way.
At least they say please.
Yeah, all right. Please. So I guess it depends on what kind of setup they have. If it is in the cloud, I guess it depends who's hosting the cloud.
Right.
In that case. And the cloud idea is pretty cool. I like it being able to transfer it. It's nice. But yeah, do you think that comics are still kind of suffering from their speculation in the 90s where everyone and their brother was buying comics?
Well, I don't know if you guys are following solicitations for upcoming books, but DC's got a new title coming out called Justice League of America. And I'm excited for the content. It's Jeff Johns, David Finch, who did that Batman The Dark Knight we talked about the other day. They're going to do another Justice League team. This looks like a more patriotic or kind of like a militaristic team. But they're doing 52 variant covers. They're doing a cover for every state. Excuse me. They're doing a cover for every state flag.
Would that be just 50?
Well, and there's the standard cover, and I think there's another David Finch.
Oh, okay.
Version. So
all right.
52. It looks nuts, right? That's like 1990 all over again, slap some tinfoil on there and you've got like a 1994 Spider-Man comic or something. The speculator market, I think, is back and with a vengeance. The variant cover thing is out of control. I don't know.
It's crazy pants. I remember the first time I bought it in variant cover, it was by accident. I wasn't even looking for the thing. It just happened to be the only cover. It was a Marvel book. I can't remember the title, but what caught me was it was just white. I was like, why would anyone buy a comic cover with that art? But it was a book I was reading already.
Oh, you mean the blank cover where it just has the copy and the logo and everything?
Right. Yeah. As I was checking out, I was like, hey, I was talking to the guy at the counter. I was like, hey, why would anyone buy this? He was like, oh, you take that to trade shows and get people to sign it. I was like, oh. So I could have one with the normal cover, maybe a variant or two. And if I want to have every artist I know sign this thing, I'll have to buy 10 more,
Well, ideally, you would get the blank cover, you'd take it to a convention, you'd get, George Perez or whoever drew the, interior to do a little sketch on it. And that'd be really great. But for a guy like me, I look at it, I'm like, you're buying a blank fucking cover. I got a ketchup popsicle to sell you if you're going to buy that.
It's charging the same price, yes, no art.
Charging more in some cases. These variant covers, they're kind of like, remember collecting like Magic the Gathering cards?
Yeah.
You know, they control and adjust the rarity of these things. So it's like your local retailer, your comic book shop. They order 25 copies, they get 1 copy of the variant. That's why you see the variant up on the high shelf for whatever, $25, $20, $15. And you look at it and you go, how is this crook going to charge me $15? Well, he had to order 25 copies of a book he might not have thought he'd sell 25 copies of just to get that 1 copy. So he's trying to make his money back by shilling it off to you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how you get variant covers.
Really?
Yeah, like some of them are like 1 in 6, some are 1 in 25, some are like 1 in 200. So it's like 200 copies of a book to get 1 copy of a variant. That guy's gonna put that on the shelf for like, $60 or whatever to try and, get his money back.
I feel like I'm watching the Home Shopping Network. Only 50 were made.
Yeah.
Yours with low, low price of $19.95.
Commemorative plates.
With cats on them.
Has to have cats in those plates. Speaking of cats, have you ever seen Catman, the superhero?
I don't think so.
He's lame. Don't read him.
Okay.
Are you kidding? You can't diss on Thomas Blake, the Catman? Either of you read Villains United or Secret Six?
Catman, he's a boxer, isn't he?
No, you're thinking of Wildcat from JSA.
That's the only cat I know.
Catman is Thomas Blake. He tried to emulate Batman. Like, he literally had like a Catmobile and a cat cave and all that stuff.
Yes, I remember that.
Gail Simone, great writer. I think she's like the only chick working at DC right now. She revived Catman in the Secret Six series. He went to the African veldt and lived amongst the lions and became literally like a Catman, like a man of the veldt. Great character. How do we even get to Catman?
You talked plates and you said cats, and I was like, oh, cats, comics, Catman. Like it was.
No, Catman's great. He had great rapport with Deadshot. If you want to look for Secret Six, it's in trades, hardcovers, back issue bins, everywhere. It's a great series. Doesn't matter anymore, thanks to the new 52, but
all things being what they are.
Gail Simone at her best.
Oh, the whole 52, where does 52 come from?
52 comes from, as far as I know, going back to Infinite Crisis, which came out in like 05, 06, I think. At the end of Infinite Crisis, Alexander Luthor brought back the multiverse. Sort of. There were 52 alternate Earths. Okay. And so 52... And then, of course, there was a follow-up miniseries, or maxi-series, I guess, 52, the weekly series that filled in the missing year for DC. 52 has just been kind of a buzzword for DC ever since then. So with the new 52, they actually released 52 new titles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like Neil Adams is 42, but it's got 10 more, so it's better.
Exactly.
Neil Adams is nuts.
And I was a collector of variant covers. And
were you?
It was only the ones that appealed to me. Sometimes, because as you were saying, the blank covers, they actually did covers without any color in them.
Really?
So you can have your friends or whoever, your niece, just sit there and color on your comic book. So it could be
2-year-old, just take all the crayons and rub it all over.
And it could be its own piece of artwork. I don't know if you would sacrifice that. You'd only get 2, of course.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You're like, look, Dad, I drew this big old dick on Superman's forehead. I'm like, that was $100. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
chores for the rest of your life.
That's basically how I feel about the Essential series, both for DC. Well, and I guess for Marvel, the imprints Essentials, but DC Showcase, you know, the big books, like they're all black and white. So if you wanted to, and I think I mentioned this earlier in an earlier podcast, you could buy one to keep black and white if you suck at drawing. Buy one to con a friend in drawing for you and keep that one. Maybe buy one to entertain, you know, your relatives' kids if they come by and they got nothing to do to keep them from burning your house down.
Interesting.
You know, because they're all black and white. And if I wasn't so bad doing anything that involved a pencil, it was not writing, I'd probably try my hand at trying to color them. So I thought that was pretty cool to release volumes like that.
That would be pretty cool. But then again, you can make your own colors on. You can make Superman Hispanic.
That'd be amazing. I'd have to like draw in a sombrero and everything. Give him like maracas or something.
Fights crime.
El Super.
It is sombrero.
Super? I guess it would just be super.
El Super Hombre.
Yeah, El Super Hombre. I
think we got a great idea right there.
I think I only say taco burrito over and over.
El Super Hombre fighting crime.
El Crimo.
El Crimo.
So what's the weirdest comic you've ever read? There are a couple that I've read that are pretty strange. Since we're talking about Mexican supermen, weird comics might fall under that umbrella.
The weirdest comic I've ever read?
Just out there.
Actually...
If it's not Flex Menlo, you're lying.
I was going to say that, but I think I've read one... Infinity Boy, I think.
Kid Eternity?
Kid Eternity. That was a weird comic.
In one of your boxes.
I was like, what is going on here? I don't know the premise of it, because it's just out there.
Kid Eternity is Grant Morrison and... I hope I'm not wrong here. Dave McKeon? I believe it's the guy who joined him on Arkham Asylum. But, yeah, he's an older character that Grant Morrison sort of revamped, and I agree, when you read it, it's a little hard to follow. All I remember is that the three covers make one image of Kid Eternity's face.
Doesn't it follow the Dante's Inferno?
Maybe. I don't remember that much about it. Did you ever read?
I didn't get a chance to. Probably the strangest Grant Morrison comic I've read, and this is leaving out Doom Patrol because I haven't read his run on Doom Patrol yet, was... Man, I can't remember the title of the book, but it was like this sailor character and like a tuna named Chummy.
Sea Guy! Sea Guy was great.
Yeah, that was an interesting, kind of really weird comic. It's been so long since I've read it, I can't really remember the premise. Like, was there somebody trying to...
He's got to save his princess.
Yeah.
He travels to the eye.
Yeah. There's Mickey Eye, which is like Mickey Mouse, but with an eyeball instead of a mouse head.
OCC.
Yeah.
Got to battle the bee.
It was a strange comic.
It was a good read. It really was. I enjoyed it.
I was upset when Chummy the Tuna died. I was like...
Chubby the Tuna.
Yeah.
The way they spell it always cracks me up. Yeah.
I like that tuna.
And I think it's like the first issue, maybe even the first page of the first issue, he's like playing chess with Death. And Death is like a gondola, do you call them drivers? I don't know what you call it. He's like a gondola pilot.
Probably driving the same way Batman was driving that helicopter earlier.
You know, one that I really liked when I was up in Austin. We visited this dragon's lair, and it's a comic book place, as well as a board gaming place where people play D&D and whatnot.
Just a nerd mecca.
Not that large, but
smaller than Mecca.
I saw they had blankets there. Blankets was a great comic book.
Oh, I thought you meant blankets on the floor for people to sleep on.
No. It was a comic
Progressive.
book. And I picked it up and I was like, wow, I can't believe they have this. You've read it, right?
I've got it, man.
You got it.
Blankets, yeah. Craig Thompson.
It's a very touching little story.
It is. It meant something different to me when I first read it than when I've reread it recently. Because it's kind of about your first love, your first your first contact with a woman, if you will. You know, it's
all things that are terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, it's all very terrifying.
And another one that I really liked was called...
What was it about?
It's about like this physics teacher or this...
Polyp? Asterios Polyp?
Yes, Asterios
Polyp.
By
David Mazzucchelli, the artist on Batman Year One.
Oh, that was a very cool read. And he goes on this journey. It's a strange journey. It's about how he resigns or he gets fired from his teaching career. He was an architect, wasn't he?
I think he resigned, or I think he quits. I don't remember. It wasn't. What happened to it? It used to be among your stuff, but I haven't seen it in your
Oh, it shouldn't be on there. Unless I
Oh,
gave
look,
it away.
I found comic book tattoo, but I didn't see.
Oh, that was just crazy.
I didn't see. A comic book tattoo is amazing.
Open that up. Have you seen comic book tattoo?
You know, I think I might have, but I think at the time I was pretty stoned, so I don't know much about it. You've got the Texas Driver's Handbook, very handy.
For a non-driver like myself, it is. My favorite trade paperback is the Texas Driver's Handbook.
So word to the wise. Okay, so this is, I'm assuming, a compilation of stuff, right?
Yeah. Big jam piece.
It really is. Illustrations from songs?
I don't remember the blanket statement for the book. I just know that it's 100 different short comics, and it's literally every genre, every kind of thing you.
Wow, this is all over the place. In a good way.
Yeah, I think it is songs because at the beginning of each section you have the lyrics page.
Lyrics and I guess art inspired by the lyrics. So how did you come across this, Matt?
I just saw it on the shelf one day and I just picked it up.
Yeah.
You know,
just magic itself to you.
If I like the cover, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but I generally like to.
With comic books, you have to.
That's
because
true.
the cover's
Unless
important.
they're blank.
Unless they're blank.
Yeah.
In which case, you're in for a ride no matter what you get. That's really nifty. I haven't had a chance to read this since I'm going through it for basically the first, maybe second time.
I think you take this in stages. The first time, you just look at it. You just look at the picture.
You don't have to read it in order.
Exactly.
It's a true anthology. You can just flip it open and read any given chapter. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. I think the second stage of the book is you actually read one of the two words, the song lyrics as a whole, or you just simply read the panels as they are. And then the third stage is taking it all in, putting it all together.
'Cause I'm a sucker for short stories. And this is definitely chock full of them. All over the place, too. There's fantasy, some horror, some sci-fi.
There's such a range of content that there are some stories where I look and go, oh, that's like a charming little, adventure. You could even let a kid read it. And there's some stuff I can't even look directly at because it's so terrifying.
This is not something you read before you go to sleep, at least some of these anyway. That's actually part of the reason why I like House of Mystery, that Vertigo print book I brought you.
I haven't read any of it yet, so.
It's have I told you the premise? Or are you familiar?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. So
I'm familiar with the old House of Mystery, sure.
Okay, so you know that Cain and Abel in the DC universe live together at the House of Mystery, and it's this place that's like at the crossroads of everything, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally people from the wider multiverse just stop by there, and in some cases, sometimes it's like a roadhouse to them. They just stop there and move on. In some cases, they're stuck there. And
Hotel California.
Basically, but more Victorian looking. So what they have for currency, you don't have money there. Money's not allowed. Instead of money, you have to literally sing for your supper. You tell stories as a way of bartering. And so that's why you have a bunch of short stories that people relate to each other, and they're written and drawn by different artists each time. And at the same time, you have a larger arc about this person that happens to be there, and they're trying to escape.
So there's like a framing sequence by a consistent creative team, and then within that you have like an anthology.
Right.
Okay.
And it really works well. I got all of them, and I haven't unpacked the last quarter of it, and that's simply because at the time, and I still don't, I don't have any covers for them, no sliders, and I didn't want to open up a bunch of comics and just have them lying around. I'm paranoid about that if it's something I really like.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it ends, but so far it's great.
No, Vertigo. Have you heard Karen Berger, who basically blazed the trail for Vertigo, basically responsible for the British invasion in DC, retired recently. And if you haven't heard her name before, just think of things like Preacher, Sandman.
Preacher.
Mm-hmm.
I think somebody's let me read that before.
Maybe Zach lent it to you. I don't know. her stepping down, that's a big, in my opinion, a big blow to DC, because she has all these contacts, right? Like, as far as I know, it's like, that's the lady you talk to if you want to talk to Neil Gaiman. That's the lady you talk to if you want to reel in Garth Ennis or something. So, I don't, without her Rolodex, so to speak, is Vertigo on the verge of, ceasing to exist? Is DC getting rid of Vertigo? Do they not see Vertigo as a profitable venture anymore? Because we've seen Constantine, Swamp Thing, these characters folded back into the proper DC universe. Is Vertigo going to cease to exist? I don't know. It's up in the air.
I know you guys can't see this in the podcast, but the thought of Vertigo not existing, I've got my arms in the grumpity folded up.
He does. He looks like a very disappointed father right now.
I don't know.
Son, I am very disappointed.
I feel like telling DC that. Like, they never listen to me. But Vertigo made some really cool stuff. Preacher, I'd have to say that series is one of the best comic series ever. And I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but hey.
A lot of people like the movie Face Off, too.
Exactly. So blow me.
Preacher.
I've got a podcast.
I was calling you out.
I've got a podcast and you don't. Make your own podcast and tell me how much I suck.
Now, if someone with a podcast comes at you, then we're going to have a dust-up.
Well, we'll have a hootenanny.
a proper hootenanny.
Now, Preacher is... This preacher, he decides to go vigilante, correct?
Yes, and he has the word of God on his side. Literally, if he tells someone to do something, they have to do it. Like,
interesting.
The reason I like Preacher is it's not all the pop culture references. It's not just the crazy wackiness of that comic. It's almost like if Hunter S. Thompson dropped a bunch of acid and wrote a book on God and his adventures in L.A.
I like it because it's about Texas, damn it. Finally, you get a great comic about Texas.
And it portrays it so well.
The reason I like it is because it takes somebody who is, a believer in the Christian God and really puts him to the test, because he sees that once he gets embedded with the Word of God or whatever, that God has made a really crapsack world. Mm-hmm. And, the basic premise is that he has gone missing from creation, and that's why he starts off in this nutty journey in the first place, is to try and find him and, reel him in.
Try to find God?
Yeah, try and find God, and he's like, look what you've done, you fucking bastard. You're in control of everything. How can you let this happen? And, that's basically the story in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
You've got inbred Jesus Christ, you've got Nazis, you've got gay rapists, you've got everything you could ever think of that Garth Ennis would want to write at some point or another.
Yeah, it is Garth Ennis in a nutshell. This is, if you read anything by Garth Ennis, you've got to read Preacher. It's his magnum opus. Even though the guy is still producing quality work, even for the big two. I think he's doing a Nick Fury series for Marvel right now. But this is Garth Ennis at his best.
Is this still a continuing story? Or
No, it wrapped up in... I think it wrapped up in the 90s even.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like 60... I think it was 66 issues?
More or less.
Yeah.
I just grabbed the TPBs because I couldn't support that many comics floating around. I try to be a TPB guy as much as I can just because they fit in the shelf easier.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's easier to give to friends, too.
Right.
Like, it's hard to lend somebody a long box, but if you can hand them a couple of trades, they're much more likely to actually sit down and read the fucking thing than to...
Yeah.
I tried handing off my long box to a friend once, and we were talking about comics for a while before I did that. And, I was like, I got my long box, I was in the car, and I was bringing it up, and said, you trying to move in, Evan? I'm like, no, these are comics. Like, this is not my shit.
There's like a tennis racket and some sneakers.
But yeah. Plus, they look a lot more like actual books, so if people feel self-conscious reading them,
Mm-hmm.
they probably won't get a lot of flack for that. It's just a book,
And there's no ads.
No ads.
Which ads don't bother me. Personally, I get a kick at looking at the ads in old comics, but I don't know. A lot of people, it's like you give them a trade paperback, there's no ads in there, except maybe at the end some ads for other comics, but they're not seeing stuff for, Skechers or Burger King or whatever.
Twizzlers. Those ads were big in the 90s.
Shaving. You need every comic book reader needs a
Video games, like elaborate 2-page ads for Halo 4 or something.
Halo 4, Halo 5, join the revolution.
So I guess that's something to really consider is, are comics still going to be a big deal down the road from now? Are movies going to take the spotlight? Is Marvel going to be more of a production studios than a comic book studio?
Well, yeah, like the characters, the properties will survive, but the comic book medium, I think, is still kind of suffering. Or it's changing. I think of it as like the floppies are going away, and that's going to be the end of it. But comic books are transforming into something else due to digital distribution.
Right. That's how I view it. They're evolving into a visual, it's a visual thing.
Yeah.
But
it's always been a visual medium, but yeah.
It's more of a I can't say experience, because reading comics is an experience. What is it changing into?
I think storytelling is going to change. A lot of comics keep this in mind, are written for the page turn, right? You're reading this, such and such happens. When you turn the page, that's the big reveal.
Right.
Now we're reading things on a tablet. You tap it, you get the next panel. You tap it, you get the next panel. There's no page turn, so the storytelling is changing. And I think that's the big metamorphosis is stories will be told differently. We're not going to be dealing with the 22-page, 20-page, 18-page formats anymore. We're going to deal with panel formats. How many panels do you have to tell a story rather than how many pages? Because we're still trying to emulate print comics digitally, right? Like you're still looking at a page, you're just looking at it panel to panel. But when Marvel, DC, all of the digital publishers embrace this new format, we won't be looking at the page turn anymore. It's going to be all about the...
You have this pulled up on your computer right now.
Yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 panels right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the
each
rest
of that is, tap, tap, tap.
Right. And right there, that's a pretty clean little look right there, as it is.
Yeah, it's all... there's nothing really bleeding out of the page or anything like that. It's all very self-contained.
But on the phone, you don't view the whole page. Well,
Right.
you can, but you can't read it. So you're looking at panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4. They're no longer going to write for the page turn, where it's like, ooh, the scene has changed, or ooh, Batman is dead, or whatever.
Spoilers.
That is spoilers for nothing that is not the comic I was reading. But it's going to be the panel-to-panel progression. And maybe comics will look more like storyboards, like movie storyboards going forward, as digital becomes the dominant thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to change? Well, how much of the art is that going to change from working from it being a physical thing to a digital format,
Are they going to start to get lazier? That seems like it's becoming a lot more lax.
I wouldn't say that. I think art today... This might be changing the subject a little bit, but I think artists today really get the shaft. Because comic books are a writer-driven medium. When you think about the last big run on Captain America, right, or Green Lantern, it's Ed Brubaker's Captain America, or it's Jeff Johns' Green Lantern. Who are the artists? Who drew Green Lantern by Jeff Johns?
Not
right?
Walter Sobchak.
Right? You think of the writer nowadays. Now, when we think of Avengers, you think of Jack Kirby, right?
Yeah.
Today, the artists are forced to work a harsher schedule because comics are double shipping, triple shipping in some cases, which means 2 or 3 issues are coming out per month instead of just 1. The artist is kind of taking a back seat to the writer because, every 3 issues, the artist has to change to a different guy. So instead of getting like Chris Claremont and John Byrne's X-Men, you're getting, Brian Michael Bendis' X-Men with, 3 or 4 different artists. You're not getting a run. You're not getting that collaboration anymore.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now, you still are in terms of the shorter story arcs, you still get a great collaboration between a writer and artist, but you're not getting a run anymore. You know, these guys aren't working together long term, finding their footing with each other, you know, learning to dance the tango, so to speak.
They don't have time to develop, really.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
Mm-hmm.
They had it was a team up, like literally a team up.
Yeah.
They don't really have that anymore. It's not a thing. I guess that's just kind of the nature of the beast now, you know?
Well, the whole Jim Lee, he's become a very big artist.
Mm-hmm.
And
a publisher, and he's got some big position within DC now, I forget, but he's more than just an artist. Yeah, he's a figure in comic books.
Right. And some of my, you know, I say this name a lot, or these names, Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely, they actually knew X-Men. They did a whole comic without any words. You know, they had the script inside there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, like, maybe they were trying to get the point across on that. I don't know. It was actually Marvel took all of their books that month and did Nuff Said month, where there was no dialogue, spoken dialogue or captions within the comic. It was all art storytelling. And that really, you know, that separated the boys from the men as far as artists. Because you look at that issue of New X-Men with Quitely, and he told a story just with pictures. And there was just as much to read in the images as there would be if there were captions and word balloons. Right.
You know, he gave you plenty to chew on.
And I sat there staring at, you know, these pages going back and forth. You know, it wasn't like I was trying to decode something. It was fun to look at because I was like, oh, cool, you know, this is happening.
Yeah.
Watching the characters interact without any words.
That should be the final word onto whether or not you can tell a comic story without writing. If you can feel emotion, if you're not an avocado, if you can see a picture and interpret things from it, then you should be fine.
I think even an avocado could appreciate Frank Quitely.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I like avocados. Potatoes, on the other hand,
yeah.
Potatoes are weird. They just sit there.
They got eyes all over. They look
Exactly.
at you. I think my favorite silent story is I forget the title, but it's when Frank Miller was doing Sin City. There's that one where Marv is just rescuing that girl from the twins or whatever, and there's these excellent, beautiful black and white noir-inspired shots of him going through the snow, holding this kid in the snow, just beautiful stuff.
Is that part of the story that's adapted into the movie? Is that the Yellow Bastard?
I don't
story?
think so. I think it's an independent one. It's short. It's short,
Okay.
but it doesn't have any dialogue.
I don't think I've read it.
It's great stuff. As far as cartoons go, you watch Samurai Jack, right, Matt?
Actually, I've seen bits and pieces. I've never seen
Samurai.
the whole thing.
I love Samurai
Did you
Jack.
either of you guys see the episode where he was like in that pagoda fighting the ninja, and like it would go back from black and white? Like,
Mhm.
That was really cool. I was
That entire show was
Yeah.
almost bereft of dialogue. Like,
minimal.
I do remember that.
yeah, it got everything across through the animation and the storytelling. Just
I've heard somewhere on the interwebs that they're trying to make Samurai Jack into a movie.
like a live action.
I think so.
Okay.
Who's gonna be Samurai Jack? You say Keanu Reeves.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes.
That's the hot name, right?
Samurai Jack. We couldn't have Sonny Chiba. He was out of town on the weekend. Chow Yun-Fat was also gone.
It'll probably be the guy who played Kato.
You think so?
I don't know.
I didn't see the new Green Hornet.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, it's okay that you didn't see it.
It's okay that I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I don't really like Seth Rogen, so I
Yeah.
thought I was doing myself a favor.
I always feel he's like you, but unlike you, he's like became successful. So
Yeah.
I knew him first, you bastard. Like every time I watch a movie. It's a minute.
Seth Rogen is like...
I know. I walked out of the
It's like
Green Hornet,
everything
so.
I don't like about Jack Black put into like another actor. I just don't see the appeal. This has been a very bitchy episode.
I know.
Club of Heroes.
Told somebody to blow me? I mean,
yeah, we're just having
on?
a right bitch about the comic industry and the movie industry. We're taking them all to task. We're putting them all on notice.
We have to call this episode Bitch Fit, I think.
This is a big bitch fit.
Also, I'd like to apologize for any implications that we stole stuff from the last episode. Those are all Super Scrolls.
Oh, that was the Club of Villains who took over last episode.
Club of
Yeah.
douchebags.
Mind control.
Definitely, they're definitely fans of thievery and jaywalking and burglarizing.
Mm.
Do not befriend them.
Can't stand burglars.
Them burglars. They be burgling.
Dirty dopers.
No, that's Batman's spiel, Dirty Dopers.
Oh.
Like, I think it was a Bronze Age Batman or something, where like he's fighting drug dealers. Like, when that was a big thing in comics, and like he like picks up a hypodermic needle full of junk, and like he squeezes it, and death comes out of this needle, and like a skull like comes out of the junk. Ooh, beat me with the Reagan stick some more, please. I need. Tell me how you truly feel. I'm sure that the editor was like, could you just put a skull in there so the comics code's okay with
Was
it?
that a Neil Adams issue? Or?
I think it might have been. If not, it was around the same time period.
Because, I mean, if it was Neil Adams, that must have been a beautiful fucking skull.
It was really cool.
Even the syringe was beautiful, you know?
Glistens in the moonlight. Or sunlight. Does Batman fight in sun still? He's just a nocturnal vigilante.
Well, back then, you know, Batman wasn't entirely nocturnal. He would just walk around during the day.
Yeah,
you know, citizens would see him and be like, "Hey, it's Batman." And be like, "Hey, what's
It was
up?"
not always 2 a.m. in Gotham.
Yeah, yeah.
It had time zones.
Well, it's funny, like, now in the current comics, you see Batman at night and Bruce Wayne during the day.
Yeah.
It's never Batman still in his cave on his computer during the day. What time is it, Alfred? Need more coffee?
I'm on Imgur looking at cats. That's what I imagine him doing most of the time.
That's how he cheers himself up. You know, after you deal with the Joker or the Riddler or whatever. Go home and look at lolcats.
Look at those cats. I bet their parents aren't dead.
Somebody give that cat a cheeseburger. Says Batman.
Oh, lolcat, you're so funny. Grumpy cat, why are you so grumpy?
When he finds out a cat killed his parents, you know.
Joe Chill was a cat this whole time?
Joe Chill was an alley cat.
Joe Chill.
There's a ventriloquist holding a cat holding a gun. What if that is actually a comic, though?
That you just blew my mind right there.
I know, I'm rethinking the old Batman origin.
I know. Whatever happened to Cape Crusader, the conclusion of that comic, when it was just Pennyworth pretending to be all these villains to try and...
Oh, he dressed up like the Joker, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader was a 2-issue thing. It came out right after Batman R.I.P. It was by Neil Gaiman. I forget if it was Andy Kubert or Adam Kubert. I get them mixed up all the time.
I think it's Andy.
Yeah, it had great art, though. And it was basically Batman attending his own funeral. And, or a wake. It wasn't really a funeral, it was more like a wake, right? Because the body was exposed and everything. And all of the villains were sitting right alongside all of the supporting cast. So you had the Joker and Harley Quinn and Commissioner Gordon all in the same building. But nobody's fighting, there's no conflict. They're all there just to mourn the death of Batman. And the bartender, if I remember, was Joe Chill. Right? Yeah. And it's just kind of like Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It's an end cap for Batman's story that you could put at any point in his continuity. Whether it happened right after Batman R.I.P. or right after a comic in the 70s, you could plug it in at any time in Batman's personal timeline, and it works. It's great. It's only 2 issues. It's probably available in trade, hardcover, or whatever. I think I have the single issues.
I haven't read that.
Yeah, it's worth a read. It's really good stuff.
And what's Alfred doing? He's dressed as who?
Well, Alfred explains that in order to repair Bruce's damaged psyche after the murder of his parents, he fabricated the whole supervillains thing. So, you know, like, any time Batman took down Joker, it was just Pennyworth pretending to be a guy named Joker.
Yeah, and that's not the definitive clause.
No, that's not it.
during this wake, every character gets up and tells their version of how Batman died. And each story is different. Catwoman tells a different story. Alfred tells a story. Who else gets up? I think Roz goes up.
Two-Face, I think, gets up too.
Two-Face or something.
He's
yeah.
there anyway.
All these people go up and tell a different version of the death of Batman. So it really is like a be-all, end-all Batman funeral, because you get to see all these different versions of the death of Batman in one story.
I like that.
Yeah,
That is really cool.
It's really cool. Recommending it to all the listeners and to Matt.
Yes, I haven't. This will be an experience for all of us. The journey we must all partake in.
Great comic. One of the best Batman stories, probably in the last 10 years. Maybe in all time, you know. I'd put that right up there with Whatever Happened to Man of Tomorrow's.
What about All-Star Superman?
Oh.
Oh, we're talking about Batman stories.
Yeah. Tears were shed over that book earlier.
Yeah.
Manly tears.
Alcohol-fueled tears.
But yeah, just great stuff. You know, Wonder Woman hasn't had a definitive end story like that, but she's always been one of the big three.
I think she has, but maybe no one in this room has read it.
You know, probably right.
I mean, how many Wonder Woman comics have we read between the three of us?
Wednesday Comics. That's about it.
I mean, I've read the Rucka stuff, the Gail Simone stuff, and I've looked into the old, like, Golden Age, like the Marston stuff. Yeah, because there's a lot of paddling, there's a lot of bondage, a lot of things that are relevant to my interest.
A lot of winking going on. She's like giving a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Hey.
Grant Morrison has a Wonder Woman like graphic novel coming up next year.
Really?
It'll be his final work for DC, and then he's going off to outer space or wherever he plans on going.
Going back to Planet Scotland.
Yeah.
Actually, what I heard though was one of the people that had a hand in originally creating Wonder Woman in the Golden Age. He had a very interesting home life.
Yeah, Marston.
Yeah,
the
Marston.
creator, yeah.
Didn't he have like a live-in mistress along with his family?
Mm-hmm.
He partook of some
What?
kinky activities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he's big into bondage. That's where Wonder Woman's what do you call them? Shackles.
Yeah, or like gauntlets, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrist guards or sweatbands.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sweatbands.
A bit of metal. Kind of a weird book, honestly. I mean, progressive to see a woman in comics tied up all the time, probably not so progressive. Spanking, definitely not progressive.
But it was also about the strength that comes from a woman's submission.
That too.
And I think that's a good note.
What?
No. I said everybody shoot me death beams in the room. No,
I just didn't understand. That's why I was saying.
Fine, I'll talk to Matt.
I was
He's still my
interested.
friend. Yeah, the strength that comes from willingly submitting. Does that? Julie's still unsatisfied. It's gonna be a long night.
So it's like
basically, he's saying a woman is stronger than a man because she willingly submits to a man. Matt is like, I do not want to be in the boat with this guy anymore.
No, that makes sense, though. See, once you say that a woman is stronger than a man,
that makes it all better.
I think what Chris is trying to say, it's the power that comes from giving power up willingly.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Trust me,
save me from the
stuff's
lynch.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, save me from the lynch mob.
get hot in here.
Right.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, I've never really read the equivalent of Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if there was one. Probably is one. If you guys are listening, still recommend me one. Read it.
Yeah, tell us what it is. Put it in the comments down below and subscribe up top.
Yeah, there's stuff on the Facebook.
You're such a fucking shill, Matt.
Tell them about the t-shirts and buttons. No.
Yeah, I got some buttons. I don't know how to put them on the clothes though, so you just slap them directly under your skin. They'll stay there for a couple minutes. And t-shirts.
Any closing comments? Anything?
No.
Anybody wants to get off their chest?
Wonder Woman's a great character.
She is, and women are wonderful.
Women are great.
American Maid's the only real superhero in the tick.
They make great cookies.
They do. And we probably don't appreciate them enough.
And midgets are great people, creatures. They're magnificent, majestic creatures.
Oh, okay.
I think we're gonna have to cut.
I don't think we need to apologize to midgets.
No.
Dwarves.
First thing we ask for money, smaller carousels, just all downhill from here. Sorry, midgets.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut this part out.
Yeah.
Just cut
Oh no, this is the whole show right here.
You need to have the raw and unfiltered version. This is like Mad Money, where the guy like beats the TV screen with a bat. Bye. Never understood that show. That guy was nuts. Like.
Yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm.
At least he's entertaining to watch, though.
Just like our podcast.
Listen to.
We'll see you. Well, you might watch it. It might end up on the YouTubes. That depends on Evan, our dread lord and master, the Grand Wizard.
You know, we need to get Don Hertzfeld to animate our podcast.
You mean with like stick figures having violent diarrhea and stuff like that?
It would be perfect, because this shit we talk about, it goes right with all this stuff.
Proof I'm still 12.
We could. I don't think we could pay his tab though. I think
he was working for free, right?
Pay me in French.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's true. You know, we can make our own.
Yeah,
we make our own poofs.
We can draw our own poofs.
Is that what they're called? Poofs, cloud, cotton candy.
So I guess in closing, comics are cool. Buy comics and listen to us.
Yes, continue to support your local retailers, even if they're trying to shill off expensive variant covers. And go out and buy Wonder Woman, because it's great.
Why don't you just do like She-Hulk or something? Talk about how great She-Hulk is.
No, I think I've dug the hole deep enough. We'll talk about She-Hulk maybe next episode.
Next time, same place, same time.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Good night.
And that's a wrap.
Hey, Dad. When's the new Rocket Fidget movie coming out? Hi, I'm Nicolas Cage. And that was me playing a little kid. You see, when I was a little tyke, my father turned me on to a bunch of futuristic short films starring a bunch of guys called the Rocket Revengers. You see, between 1939 and 1940, they made about 8,000 of these films, these fantastic adventures, and every single one of them literally blew my ass off. It blew it right off. They're that good. So tonight, I'm very honored to present to you a classic episode of the Rocket Revengers. Rocket Revengers are ready to rock it? Right, Rocket Revengers, right!
This is the future. Your future. The future of the Rocket Revengers. Starring Nick Bendix as Captain Dutch Anderson, Big Roy Rasmussen as Lieutenant Tiny Malone, and Lincoln Willis as Lieutenant Abraham Jefferson, fighting to save the world of tomorrow from the evil forces of the future. Rocket Revengers are ready to rocket!
What the? Abraham must be fighting the king of the invisible winged lizards. Need any help? You bet. What do you have to say to that, king of the invisible winged lizards? I thought as much. It's funny and tragic that the invisible winged lizards still insist on trying to kill your people.
Yes. When my people were asked to voluntarily move to the separate but equal island of Antarctica back in 1968, who could have known that it was also home to the insanely savage invisible winged lizards?
No one, I'm sure. Oh well, at least we're all separate but equal now.
What the?
That's the intruder alert. We've got to seal all the entrances pronto.
We can do it.
Good idea, Abraham. We can do it from here using our electricity.
That was close. Rocket Revengers, to the rockets.
What the?
Look, it's
It sure is, Abraham. Welcome to Rocket Revengers HQ, future park ranger Dan.
Thanks, Dutch. Hi, Abraham. Hi, Tiny. I've come to join up.
What the?
Whoa, hold it there, Dan. Becoming a Rocket Revenger is a long, complicated, selective process.
Hey, guys, you see my moves.
Welcome to the Rocket Revengers.
Gee, thanks, Dutch.
I know, Dan. You're thrilled, and who wouldn't be?
What the?
That sounds... You're right.
You're both right. It's the underwater invasion alarm.
We can finally test out the new underwater capabilities of Rocket Revengers headquarters.
You see, Dan, we thought, why spend a lot of money making a vehicle that can fly or go underwater when we could just fix up our headquarters to do both? Tiny, set a course for the ocean.
Right away, Captain. All systems go, Dutch.
Lower periscope, Abraham. Atlantica.
You mean the underwater home of Tuca, the Queen of the Chinese?
I'll say. We better go see if she's the one invading the rest of the world. Dan, you stay here. We'll be right back. Rocket Revengers are ready to rocket. Right, Rocket Revengers?
Right.